everyone. Another week, another episode seed here about Let's Talk About This Way. This is a little new, though. We're doing the first ever virtual call-in with a great friend of mine, Miss Hannah. And you know what, Hannah? I forgot it's Hannah Lawrence now. It's not Hannah Budke. That's right.
Hannah
Okay.
Lawrence,
Almost
yeah.
messed that up. There we go. Anyways, guys, so this is a brand new thing. We're doing virtual call-ins. Obviously, we have a lot of guests out there out of state, maybe not in the same time zone as myself or even here in Arizona. So we wanted to make sure that we get a hold of those people. And so what better way than get a virtual call-in and get them to be on the show. So for anyone else out there who's interested in coming on in that are from out of state, let me know. Be happy to have you on. Quick intro here to the band always. Hannah, how funny, the band Hannah, who always does the intro and outro music for us. Thank you guys so much. A great band out there in Simi Valley. Young guys doing a great thing. Check them out on Spotify, YouTube, Bandcamp. As always, I'll have their descriptions after the episode here. And then don't forget to follow, like, and subscribe on our YouTube, on the YouTube channel, on the Spotify, on our Spotify platform, and then Apple Podcast. So without further ado, Hannah Lawrence, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing good, dude. It makes me so happy to see you. I know we chatted a little bit before we started this. Wishing we had a little bit more time to connect, but I'm sure we'll find a little more time to connect after this episode because it really is just good seeing you, dude. It's been too long, and you're off to other adventures now. Just found out now you're in Seattle, which I love. Love that place,
Yeah.
especially during the summer. Obviously, Hannah and I, for most of you out there that know, we've known each other since high school. And we've always just stayed in touch. So it's really cool to be able to bring you on here. And so we'll just dive into it a little early in the morning. It's the first podcast I'm shooting in the morning. So if I'm sounding a little rusty, y'all, that's what it is. Here we are, 7 a.m. starting this off. Hannah, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, well, first, thanks for having me. I feel
Always.
so excited to be connected again. It's been so fun to follow you on Instagram and just keep up with each other, but always great to chat. I am Hannah Lawrence, formerly Hannah Budke. I am a director of brand strategy at a creative agency called The Digital Department. I've been in creative and strategy for about 10 years now and doing all sorts of things. Really started in kind of a crazy way, ran my own thing for a little while, and now found a home as a director.
Love that. Love that. And I'm going to expand on that a little more. Talk about growing up in the Antelope Valley. Let us know about your upbringing, because obviously everyone's got to know that I grew up in the Antelope Valley, so did you. But what was your experience? You know, tell me a little about your home lifestyle and kind of how that was for you during high school and kind of how that led you going to college in a little bit, because I know you did a pretty cool ambassador program in college I want to talk about too.
Oh my gosh, yes, TBT. So grew up in the Antelope Valley, pretty normal upbringing up through high school. Mom, dad, little brother. And then come junior year, senior year, my parents split up,
Mm-hmm.
and that was pretty tumultuous. My family just sort of fell apart and I needed an out. So I pretty much just decided I was going to go to college as far as I could get and go really wherever the scholarship was going to take me. You know, with the parents splitting up, there wasn't a pool of money for me to get into college
Gotcha.
anywhere. I was looking at community colleges in the area. And then I got almost a full ride to Boise State. And I said, hell yeah, let's get out of here. And I haven't looked back.
Wow, that's awesome. So you had a practical full ride to Boise. Did you have any other scholarships anywhere else?
Um, I had at that point committed basically to Antelope Valley Community College.
Okay.
And so I had, if you want to say, given up on the adventure of college. And then I had a friend at the time who was going to Boise State, and she's like, you should just check it out. They have some good scholarships. And so I did and got, yeah, just short of a full ride there, academic scholarship, and
Wow.
made it work.
Wow, that's awesome. I mean, I wish I
Yeah.
had a scholarship. Here I am paying off my student debt. So good for you, dude.
I mean, same. I have a little bit, and it's never ending, you know.
No,
It's
it's
like
not. No, it's not. I made the decision to get my master's degree a few years ago, which has been cool. You know, it's obviously good to have further education, but I'm just like, cool, I just added another 25K to debt real quick.
Yeah, I've thought about going to get my MBA, but then
Oh
I'm
yeah.
like, is will I make enough to make up that money and make it worth it? And I just don't know. I feel like I'm on a good path right now, and so I
Yeah.
don't want to mess that up.
Well, I would say, and we'll dive into that as a director role. Very impressive. So proud of you, dude. That's so cool.
Thank you.
Um, Well, let me go back to school real quick because you had mentioned, I guess you could say that kind of just given up on the whole university aspect when you got
Yep.
enrolled with ABC. Was that just more so financially, just kind of like, look, there's no way I'm going to afford college. You're scared of the debt that you'd have to bring on, so I just would rather go to a community college. Is that what it was?
Yep, and I think I didn't understand as I was only 17. I think a lot of
Hmm.
17-year-olds don't understand pulling out student loans.
Yeah.
And it's a very confusing process. I was underage going into college, so I was going to need a cosigner. My parents had lost their house. Like there was no money to be found or no person who could take on that debt if anything happened to me. So I was kind of on my own. So I needed to figure out things for myself. And I had just decided ABC is going to be something that I can afford on my server salary. I'm going to make it work. We're going to do that.
Gotcha. Okay. So that makes sense. But by the way, like it would have been just as great of a route to go to the
Oh,
community
yeah.
college route. Plenty of people do it. In fact, I get jealous of those people that have gone that route, then transferred to university, finish the last 2 years. They save so much money. They
So
save
much
so much
money.
money.
And I don't think that would have been detrimental by
Right.
any means. Like I think the main problem that I was having was I wanted to get out of Palmdale and the Antelope Valley. And so that would have stuck me there for another 2 years. I guess in theory I could have gone anywhere to a community college and had a great experience, but I was just desperate to get out of town and that was sort of going to keep me there.
Right. I mean, we all know the AV's not the prettiest thing in the world. And, I had an episode with Sean. We talked about pretty much being desert kids, the amount of times
Yeah.
that, a couple of us buddies would just be chilling. I will never forget that 50th Street and N intersection where that McDonald's is right there and what used to be an Albertsons across the street. And the amount of
Uh-huh.
times we would just be chilling in that parking lot talking about what we can do. And we're just BSing, hanging out, laughing. And then by next time, oh, it's 10:30. All right, well, let's just call it a night. See you guys later.
Yeah,
Like that,
like
that was the life. There wasn't much to do, but it was the people I felt that made it what it was. And so, when I think about you being saying like, "Hey, I needed to get out," I like Hannah, you had a lot of friends. Like people loved you, very popular in high school, and so when I hear that, I'm just like, is so it just that's just how much that really impacted you. It may be wrong about the parents splitting up. Were there any other factors? You just being like, "No, I need to head out."
I think my parents' divorce was really difficult on me. It was very sudden, very unexpected. We had found out my dad had been cheating on my mom for many years, and
Hmm.
it was just like life as I knew it had ended, and I needed to go somewhere else. It was like this pull for me and desperation really to just like go anywhere that these memories did not exist anymore. And so I was just begging to go anywhere else at that point.
Yeah. Okay. Gotcha. Do you just out of curiosity? Feel free to share or not. But do you stay in touch with your dad at all?
It is a difficult relationship
Okay.
that I am trying to navigate as an adult because there's the argument the phone works both ways
Of
is one
course.
that
That's
I've
I feel like
heard,
that's a huge one always for anything.
but he's the parent. He is
Sure.
ultimately responsible for nurturing that relationship with me. And sometimes I feel that he wants to, and sometimes I feel that he doesn't. And so I sort of have to ebb and flow with what's going on. I had a therapist one time tell me, Hannah, you're almost 30. You don't need a dad. Like you're okay. I will be okay without that father figure in my life.
Yeah.
And so it's just a matter of do I want him as a friend? Do I want him, as someone I can come to? And I don't know that answer right now. I don't know if I'll ever know that answer. I think it will be a difficult situation probably for the rest of my life.
Sure. Yeah, well, I'm sorry about that, dude. But I mean, I would have to agree with your therapist. You're doing some amazing things right now. You have a beautiful life going on. So, I mean, I think you've been
Thank
doing
you.
just fine without one, really. So,
Yeah.
um, okay. So, figuring out why we need to leave the AV, it worked out. What a blessing. You're able to go to Boise State. Also, shout out to a fellow alum there who went to the pros, Mr. Darian Thompson, who went out there around the same time, I think, right?
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah, that's got to be cool. I know football there, that big blue. What do you guys call that stadium?
The blue?
Is that what it is in Boise State, the blue?
I don't really watch football, you guys. Like I think like
Well, I just know the stadium is crazy blue. Like it's just like
crazy
blows my mind away
blue
always when I see that color.
birds like dive into it thinking it's the water and die. I
Oh,
know that.
really? Okay, they don't talk about that enough. Okay, so we need to put that out there. We got to maybe
Yeah,
figure
we
out the
need to get
color.
that out, everyone. Yeah.
Birds are committing suicide. This is crazy. Kamikaze birds. Okay, so maybe we touch now. You get into Boise State. Obviously, college itself. You go in that university. Though we talk about saving money at a junior college, there's that whole experience aspect too that I think
Yep.
really is beneficial for people. I feel I've talked about it a few times on the podcast and just with friends in general. I think I learned more about myself and
Oh
life
yeah.
lessons just on the experience outside of the classroom in college or university when I went to NAU. The people you meet, the sense of freedom you have, how overwhelming it can be when
Yeah.
you're first off by yourself. And depending on your upbringing, I love my parents, but my parents were pretty strict growing up. So when I got to go out there, I'm just like, whoa, 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 freedom. Whoa, whoa, whoa,
Yeah.
wait, wait, I can do this. Like I felt like a full on adult that time. Little did I know I still had a lot of growing to do. Right?
Absolutely.
How was that experience for you?
Crazy.
Yeah,
Uh it was really crazy because I was running from versus running to. And so everything felt heightened and everything felt crazy. I was out of control in both good and bad ways. I
sure,
was, really partying, really having daddy issues for the first time, like really figuring all of that sort of stuff out, what I look like as an adult by myself for the first time. And I look back at college and think sometimes fondly about it, but sometimes I think I was an absolute disaster.
sure.
And I was just trying to get through at that point. I was going through mental health issues. I was really struggling a lot of college and not getting answers and just trying to make it through. I ended up graduating early because I just couldn't handle I needed to go to the next step. Like, I was like, "This chapter has closed, and I need to move on." Um, all that to say, I had a really good time. I
Yeah.
had so much fun. I made so many friends. Friends for life, and I made teachers friends, like mentors, etcetera, but ultimately, I think it was a tough chapter for me.
And you said you graduated early, so you just took accelerated classes or more of a caseload or more of a school load during the school years to graduate, what, about a year early or so? Or
Only a semester early. So I
okay, that's still great
graduated
though.
like in December. I did a December graduation. Um, yeah, I did AP classes in high school that gave me 9 credits. Highly recommend doing that.
That's right. You were
And then
extremely
I
smart in high school. I do remember this.
some would say. And then I just took, more classes than I need to. Like I think a regular cadence was like 16 credits. I was taking 20, 24, as many as I could get.
Yeah, it's wild. Wow. Then you were able to do it. And with the lifestyle you kind of had going on during college, like, still
Yep.
going out, partying,
Mhm.
whatnot.
And I was working because I had to fund
Hmm.
my way through college. So I was working probably 3 to 5 jobs at any one point, getting about 40 hours a week. So I was just in the trenches, if you will.
Yeah, no, I totally hear you on that. I worked throughout, I think aside from my freshman year, when I came home freshman year from college, I worked in the summer at a little Mexican restaurant right
Mhm.
by my house, Los Arcos, which oh my God, I love that place. Burritos are to die for. But that's what I was doing during the summer. And then when I came back, I was like, I need a full time gig, just
Mhm.
because it really dawned upon me that a lot of the stuff I needed to be more financially responsible for. There was like this click in my head where I was like, I've always loved that my parents have helped me and supported me, but I've also worked throughout high school too when I can pick up shifts. And it just was like more of an adulting kind of just like click. Like my
Mhm.
parents have my brother and my sister to help out too, and they're going like, I know I can take care of myself better than what I had in my freshman year. Obviously, let everything
Mhm.
out, go wild, go have fun, good time. Now it's time to be responsible to an
Yep.
extent. You know,
Yep.
so I worked every single weekend at a hospital as like a switchboard operator, and I joke with my wife about, I'm like, I don't know how I did it back then sometimes. Like when I think about it now, I just want to crawl up into my bed and just I wouldn't be able to move for days. I used to have this
No.
set schedule going to school during the week. I'd have the weekends where I'd have to go Friday through Sunday. Every Friday through Sunday, I'd go to the hospital for 12 to 14-hour shifts. And I still had my social life. So as
Yeah.
soon as I get off work, be 7 or 8 p.m. Okay, meet us at this bar. Okay, great. Let's have fun. Blah, blah, blah. Be out till 2 in the morning. Get a couple hours sleep. Oh my God, I go back to work, deal with that. Kind of finally like really like a super alert at work now. And then I'm like, okay, here we go. Oh, we're doing it all over again. Craziness. I don't know how I did it. I don't ever want to experience that ever again. It was their time in college. That's that.
I completely agree. I had a brief stint where I was a testing proctor. And so on Saturdays and Sundays, starting at 6:30 in the morning,
Oof.
yeah,
Mm.
would walk over to campus and watch people take English tests for 6 hours, and you just walk and you just make sure they're not cheating. So I couldn't eat, I couldn't text, I couldn't
Oh
it's
my
you're just
gosh.
sitting in silence with your thoughts for 6 hours. I didn't last very long.
I don't even think I would be able to last one shift of that doing that. That's insane. Oh, and oh yeah, I can't even imagine, especially if you went a little too hard the night before.
Oh my
Oof.
gosh. And you're like, you got the spins and you're like trying to
Oh my gosh. Okay. Well, tell me about, because I remember, obviously staying in touch through college, social media being the biggest thing, and then kind of just checking in once in a while with each other. When you got the brand ambassador program, right? When you got into that,
Yep.
because I remember for a while you were heavily promoting Pink, which is what, by
Yep,
Victoria's
Victoria's
Secret?
Secret.
Yeah. Tell me a
Yep.
little about that.
Yeah, they had a college ambassador program and it spanned probably 50 schools. And basically, you have two ambassadors per school and you put on events and fun little things on campus to really just promote the brand. They send you a bunch of product and you give it away on campus, and it's really fun. And so I had applied to be Boise State's first. They were like opening up to Boise State and got that. And I did that for 2 years, my sophomore year through, or yeah, my sophomore year through my senior year. Um, and it was amazing. It was like so much fun. I look back at that period of my life and think I was a little bit of a girl boss. Like I was really girl bossy and trying to get everything done and do everything and be everything, and it was really fun and kind of chaotic. But then I ended up getting an internship with them the summer before my senior year, so I moved to Columbus and I was there. I can't remember what I was, in-store marketing intern or
Okay.
something like that.
Yeah, yeah.
So I did like a 15-week program in Columbus where I was working full time at their headquarters, and it was amazing. I think I owe Victoria's Secret and Pink a lot of my success and my
Yeah.
drive, and it really kind of kick-started me into the idea that I can do whatever I want and I can work with brands like this.
Yeah. I felt like you've always had, and we'll obviously talk more about now your role, but I feel like seeing you in marketing and getting into branding, you've always had that persona. It makes sense to me. So it's a perfect fit in my opinion. And so my question to you is, before you took on the Pink Ambassador program, right?
Mhm.
Did you already know? I know we didn't talk about this yet, but did you know from high school or even in high school that's the career you wanted to go towards was more towards marketing,
No, I was a math major.
math major. So what did you originally think that you were going to do?
I don't know. They're like, there's a list on a sheet and it's like, pick your major. And I'm like, I don't know. What am I good at?
Right.
And I'm like, I'm good at math. I did the, AP math classes and whatever. I'll figure it out. I'll be a woman in STEM and
Yeah.
I'll, do something cool and maybe I'll be a math teacher or I don't know. I was like, I know math. Everything else in my life is really chaotic right now. Let me just niche down to something that I kind of understand and
Right.
let me just try. So I only lasted 6 months as a math major. I failed discrete and finite algebra,
But
which
can you repeat that again? What did you say?
discrete and finite algebra,
What the hell is that?
no clue. Um,
Okay.
but I failed that class really hard.
Okay.
And I was like, I've actually got to figure something else out here.
Okay.
Like I don't know. I was oh, this actually triggered a memory. I almost lost my scholarship.
Because of that
I
class?
was because I was doing so poorly in my advanced math
Oh
classes
my
that
gosh.
I had to like write in to the dean of students and basically beg them to reinstate my scholarship. I completely forgot about that. They did.
Wow.
Spoiler alert.
Which is good.
So yeah, thank God. Um, but yeah, I then switched to communications and was like, this will be fine for now. This feels very general, and I can figure something else out later. That was my plan. And oh, go ahead.
No, no, go ahead. Sorry.
I was gonna say I got a professor, his name was Sam,
Yeah.
and he changed the course of my life. I I loved him. He was absolutely a fantastic teacher. He made me feel powerful and made me feel like I could do it. He had this exercise on the first day of school, and it was like you had to pick one of four animals that you would describe yourself as. There was a shark, an owl, a monkey, and something else that I can't remember. But it was these four animals, and you would pick which one you thought you were, and then the class picked which one they thought you were.
Oh,
And
fun.
I
Interesting.
and I picked myself as an owl because I said I'm very analytical. I see myself as, which is funny, I see myself as reserved and like
Uh-huh. I don't see that,
in
but yeah, okay.
exactly.
Yeah, yeah.
But I see myself as very in my own body, like I can't get out. And so I, stand up in front of the class and I say, I'm an owl. And Sam is like, you're a shark. And I was like, whoa. And it was the first time that I had felt like maybe I can be something and do something. And so I've kind of carried that sharkness with me throughout my career. And yeah, he changed my life. He ended up taking his own life a couple years later. And
Oh,
so yeah,
rough.
so very rough. But he got me my first job. He was my biggest cheerleader. I shout his name from the rooftops whenever I can because he changed the lives of the students that he had. And I think I have him to thank for my career.
Well, I love that. I love that, and it speaks volumes to teachers, again, how much of an
Yeah.
impact they can make, and, let's never forget that or little that, like, it's huge. They can do so
Mhm.
much for us. I'm so sorry to hear that he took his life. Oh, that's so, it's interesting. You hear about people like this who are very inspirational, very moving, very charismatic, and then they're the ones sometimes that go this other route of life, which that leads to their own life being taken, and you just never know. I
Yeah.
you know, I
And
I don't understand, like, how that happens. Maybe this is too much to ask, but, did you hear from other people and kind of, like, him changing a little bit over time, or was he the same until the end?
the same until the end.
Wow.
And we had had many conversations about mental health because I was struggling at that time as well. And he and I just forged this friendship of like, we're in this together and it's going to be okay. And so it was very unexpected. It was very out of the blue. I like remember where I was when I heard about it, it was like life altering for me, really.
Mm, wow. Yeah, I think that one really scares me a lot is the mental health
Yeah.
aspect of life. I have a buddy of mine that I just shot an episode with, which, everyone will see coming. Actually, by the time we're recording this, will be out this week. And it's my buddy Greg, one of my best buddies in the Army right now. We shed a big light on mental health there because that's like a whole new field of just the amount of suicides that happen in that type of area of a career, going Army, Air Force, whatever that might be. It's huge. And I feel like mental health, I know we're trying to shed more of a light on it, but it's still happening. It's not, the light's not shed enough on it, right?
Yeah.
Um, and so that one just it always gets me and it blows my mind. At the end of this episode, I'll make sure to also add just some suicide hotline tips and whatnot too,
Yeah.
like I did for that episode, just because anytime I hear about this, I think it is something that we need to shed a light more on and see if there are signs of it. I think that's what really scares me the most. So hands is like they try to teach you in school like science to look out for, or like whatever kind of resource you find, but I feel a lot of the time those signs really aren't there because a lot of the people that decide to do that are going to make sure they have the best facade to make sure they're never picked up on to doing that, right?
Well, it's funny that, you say, "Oh, you were popular in high school." Oh, it's like
Yeah.
that was some of the darkest times of my life when I was, there. I was at that point in late high school and college, just wanting to get out of myself. And so, it's like always funny to hear someone else's perspective of you because it's like, is that the truth? You're telling me that's my perception, but is that how I was feeling at the time? It's like, it's crazy. You wouldn't have thought I had signs.
To be honest, no.
Yeah.
And now I'd be lying to you if I didn't think during this episode, right? Like I know that you told me about like, had some mental health stuff and it's a dark chapter being back there when your parents split. And I kid you not, during this episode, I'm kind of thinking, did I really see that from you
Mm,
often? And I didn't. I really didn't. I felt like anytime we hung out or anytime we're together, just super happy, very friendly, always outgoing. You just like your energy was up here. I felt always, which is great. And the popularity thing is true in terms of just like everyone knew you, everyone loved you. So it breaks my heart a little bit to hear that because I'm just like, I, you know, I wish I could have seen that more. But then
mm.
it's like, how can you sometimes, right? Especially when people can be good at doing that. Like you said, hiding that because you don't really necessarily want other people to see that.
And it felt like that was the job I had to do, you know? Like, there's enough going on. No one needs to worry about me. Like, that was that was my cross to bear.
Yeah. Yeah. Boy, I'm yeah, I Ed stuff always just like trumps me on that. Um,
Mhm.
but obviously on the lighter side of things, you're in a great place now. You're doing amazing things, and I'm really excited and happy for you. And so, um, it's great that we shine a light on this. I think it's always great for people to hear more about mental health perspectives and outlooks, and that not everything may look perfect on the outside, especially we're in this age of social media. I had a good conversation
Mhm.
with my cousin about this actually last night, where it's a tough time for young people right now. We're
Mm.
thankful that we didn't really get to grow up. I mean, high school and college we had it, but think about the kids right now, like middle school and high school, to get the full depth of Instagram, TikTok, and it's just so dangerous on their own mental health. And so we're seeing such a huge spike in it right now, right?
Yep.
So anytime we can shine a light on this and talk about this, I'm super happy about it. But obviously, there's more to the show and to the episode here, and so I know we talked about a teacher that shaped your life, someone who really got you thinking, okay, I think it's something that I can do something more of myself than maybe the original thought you had originally, right?
Mhm.
Which I
Yeah.
love. So here we go. You have this internship with Victoria's Secret and during the Pink program or in a Pink, and you're starting to think with your communications major, okay, this is the world that I kind of want to stay in. This is now the path I want to craft. Is that right? Or
Yep, 100%. I ended up picking up a PR certificate with my schooling, and so I thought, oh, social brand strategy. I didn't really know what it quite the words I was looking for at the time, but I knew I wanted to work with brands. I knew I wanted to go big. Like when I graduated, I moved back in with my mom for about 2 months, and I was like, I'm going to get a job at Spotify, at Netflix, at Snapchat, like any of the big places in LA. I was like so committed to like making it big. And I think I made the misstep of trying to go too big too quick
okay.
because I think you need to put in the grunt work a little bit when you're trying to get into branding
Yeah.
and creative strategy. You can't get hired at Snapchat and, have them immediately understand and know that you're great. You kind of have to try
Yeah.
first.
Yeah.
So I ended up through Sam, my teacher, I ended up getting a job back in Boise at a small agency. And so I moved back up there, bought a car, and drove my little self and my dog up there and lived in an apartment for 3 months with no bed because I couldn't afford it. And I
Oh
was
wow.
just yeah, I was just making it work. Like I was like, I've got to try and I'm going to make this work. And so I worked there for about 3 months and I was really the experience I was looking for was that I could do it. I wasn't looking to, have my dream client and do all these things. I was just looking for the excitement and the knowledge and the know-how that I could do this. So I started to get my wheels spinning on, can I do this on my own? And can I make a career myself? And so I got a freelance client. Her name is JC. She's an influencer. And I was doing her social media, her inbound and outbound brand partnerships. So, like, Hollister would email and say, JC, we love your work. Would you make an Instagram for us? And I'd say, yes, that's going to be $10,000. And they say,
Like an Instagram
fantastic.
post.
Yeah. And this was before TikTok. This was like 2017. So this was before Reels, before probably even stories. This was like way back. And so I started running all her partnerships and I was like, I want to do this forever. So I quit my job. I started getting more and more freelance clients. And I did this for about 4.5 years, where I was just running people's partnerships, running influencers' social media pages.
Wow.
And I was having the best time of my life. This is where I like really trial and error figured out this is what I want to do. And so that's kind of how I got into it.
Okay, gotcha. And during that time, was that when you had your own freelance kind of company that you were doing?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
So you got to work with multiple influencers. You got to do like
Yep.
their inbound, outbound stuff. Can I just tell you that amount? Wow. Wild. Wild.
Oh,
Wild. The amount of
and
money that can be made from doing that.
that doesn't even scratch the surface.
And
I
it's
I
and it's
sent
just
out an
like that
offer. Yeah, I sent out an offer yesterday for $125,000
for
to
your
an
company or
influencer.
for
Yeah, to an influencer to make 2 videos.
okay. So I'm blown back by this because I've always known obviously they get paid on this, but this is going into depth which I love, and I'm sure other people are gonna be like, hold on, I want to hear this because they've always known
Hmm.
people get paid, but they just never know what the amounts are. What does it mean to put a post on for a company, or now we have stories and whatnot. But someone that big, that's how much money they can make from just being like, hey, we love this brand, follow this brand on a quick story or post.
And and this influencer has 1.1 million followers, and that's it. which is like not, I mean, that's a lot, but it's
It
not
is a
that
lot.
big in the, oh, sorry, my dog, in the
No, you're
sea
good.
of influencers. Like
Yeah,
1.1 million is not that much. And you're
right.
getting paid six figures.
Just to do something, just to do a post or a
Yeah.
story.
Yeah.
Wow. Uh, mind blowing. Mind blowing. Okay.
Yeah.
So you were doing your own freelancer for a while. What made you switch to go back to a company?
I needed insurance.
You know what? Um, I feel that is such a common reason for anyone who's got their own business to work part time or go full time somewhere because of that piece.
Oh, yeah. I needed insurance bad. Like we talked about, my mental health was horrible.
Mm.
I couldn't go see a psychiatrist. I was like desperate for some answers. And I was like, I'll do anything at this point to get insurance. So I ended up working for Paul Mitchell schools, at the hair schools. And I was running their social media in Washington, Idaho, and Utah. So I was running like 35 social media accounts.
Oh wow.
And yeah, and I got my insurance. I got the answers I was looking for. And then COVID happened and I needed to figure something else out. So I went, that was when I decided I really wanted to do brand strategy. I really wanted to like blow it up big and do these big companies. So I got a role at an agency named Collab, and I was doing RFPs, which is requests for proposals for companies like Royal Caribbean, Ocean Spray, Hasbro, My Little Pony, like really
Wow.
big,
Yeah, those are huge
lofty
brands.
companies,
Yeah, yeah.
huge brands. I did a lot of work with HBO Max and Amazon Prime, and that was when I was like, oh, I'm good at this and I
Hmm.
can do this. Like, it was very eye-opening to be in that corporate environment for the first time. It was also COVID, so I was remote and I was living in Denver at the time. And I just, had my little laptop and my little dreams, and I would just make it work. And it was so much fun. And that was when I realized like there's money out there for people like me. Like
Hmm.
there is opportunity and people are casually making a lot of money and I want to be in that pot.
Love it.
Yeah.
Love it. Yeah. There's a lot of money in this world to grab. There's a lot of money in
A
this world to
lot.
grab. And when you find your niche and what you're good at, and that's how you're gonna find it, I feel it does give you this super eye-opening experience. You're like, okay, now I know exactly how to
Yeah.
attack this. I felt that's how I felt going into more of a sales role into what I'm now a couple of years ago. That kind of like,
Hmm.
oh, okay, there's some guap right
It's
here. There's some
like
moolah. There's some green to make here. Now I know how to get it.
your your frontal lobe develops and you're like, holy shit, I can do anything.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So you get that click, you're good at it. You got a director role right now. A
Hmm.
director role.
I
That
know.
is extremely impressive because we all know what those titles mean. A director role at a company, starting off from you telling me, you know what, I took this job, went back to Boise, was in an apartment without a bed, and you got a director role, and you're living now in the a little bit of the outsides of Seattle, and you're going to the summer weather, which I'm super jealous about. Life's good. Life's good for you right now, I imagine.
It's so good. And it feels so good. And it's like I'm finally in a chapter where I feel stable, I feel comfortable, I feel happy, I feel joy again. I feel like life is in color. I feel like I was living in black and white for a really long time.
Hmm.
And everything has just sort of really come together for me in a really exciting way. And I'm like so excited for my 30s. I think it's going to be amazing. And yeah, I'm feeling good.
I forget hands. How can you share with me how old you are right now?
29.
You're kidding me. You haven't even entered your 30s yet. Dude, you
29 and
got
a
it
half.
good. A director role before 30 is amazing.
That was my biggest goal was I want to be a director before I turn 30. And it's so funny when you're like not there and you're like, this is not going to happen for me.
Mhm.
And I had really come to accept that in about January. I was a senior creative at an agency and I was like, damn, I'm not going to make it. I have, 10 months and I'm just stuck right now. And then the balls start rolling really, really quickly. And then boom, by beginning of March, I was in my director role.
It's so crazy. It's amazing. And we underestimate so much sometimes how much can happen in just even a short amount of time compared to
Oh
even a
my
long
God.
amount of time. A year is such a big amount of time for so many things to happen. We may think at a year like, oh, it's a short amount of time, it's around the corner, but like so much can happen with that within a year. And it's
Yeah.
funny you share your goals about being before 30. So I took on, so when I went to the company I'm at now, before I got into sales, I'll be coming up on 3 years this summer, right? So 31 now, so we turned 32. So it would be put me at about 29, almost 28, 29 when I took this job on. And I had this feeling, I didn't have a set time on it though, right? But I just thought as I'm getting older and adulting, I would think that, I'm entering this whole new decade in the 30s, right? Again, didn't have time like a timeline, oh, by this specific age, but I said, I got really hard on myself because I'm like, I'm not making the money I want to be making. I'm getting older. I'm not happy about this. I got to enter a role that gives me something more, especially since I had hit a six-figure job at that point. And not saying that everyone has to go that route. Doesn't even mean for other people out listening, like, oh, so I have to make six figures by a certain time. No, if you're happy with what you're doing, beautiful, amazing, go for it. There are just people engineered and wired a little differently, and that's okay. Some of us are very money motivated,
Hmm.
which aligns with being just goal oriented and what you want in your life. And so the certain lifestyle I want to live, what I want to do, what I want to provide for my family, money needs to be there. And it's funny to show just within a year, right? That year when I got that new role, how much can change,
Hmm.
right? You hit that six figures, like in my role, that was my goal. And it's just like, oh my gosh, look what's happened in this amount of time. And we get that feeling again of anything can happen now.
Hmm.
We're capable of doing whatever it is. So I love hearing that for you. Let me ask you, someone who is interested in going into marketing, right? Starting off in the very early steps, and I think you paint a bit of a picture on it, but I'd love to just really list it out for someone who may be listening to this. Starting off, whether it's an intern or sort of an entry level job in marketing, what kind of lifestyle should they expect? What kind of financial, I guess, financial standing they should know when they're getting into this? I mean, is it already starting off pretty high paying job? What's the grind like? Because I know when I graduated from college, I wasn't making much at all. I
Yeah.
was below 40K, and that was something.
Oh yeah, I was below that by a lot. My first job at a small agency in Boise, I was making $15 an hour, which comes out to like 32K a year or something like that. And then I went to 45K, and then I went to 65K, and then I went to 125K, and then from there it's only been up.
Amazing. Amazing. So just as you progress, as you're putting in the grind, you're starting to see the fruition come out money wise, experience
Absolutely.
wise.
And I think had I not made $15 an hour, I wouldn't have primed myself to make 125K. Like what I learned in my $15 an hour role helps me every day. And it's like that grind is so necessary. It's not great. And I hope that those minimums have gone up. I hope by
Sure.
now, that was 10 years ago.
Right.
But I hope every step got me closer to the life I wanted, and it made me hungry too.
Yeah.
I was like, "Oh, 65K is unlocking something. It's unlocking this other level where I can go out to dinner. I
Hmm.
can, do these things." And then you hit 125K and you're like, "I can buy a house." Like things are opening up for me. And it just it just helps you live the life you want, which, sometimes sucks that it's tied to money, but I'm a career-driven girly, I don't want kids, I want a career,
Okay.
and I think that I'll just keep girl bossing until I can't, hopefully retire in my 40s
Oh,
and
great
and
goal.
do my best.
Yeah. I love that. I love that. What a good perspective on life that you want to have. You're crushing it. You're obviously well on path for that goal. I got to ask you this. I think this is a great one because I feel we're very aligned. How obviously money isn't everything, or my grandpa
Mhm,
says, money isn't everything, but it's a little bit of everything. There's
mhm,
a lot of things tied to it, and obviously we find values to what money brings to us for certain values, whether it's spending time with family, investing in this for the family future, or for your career, whatever it may be. When you started making more money, I had a director. I'll preface this. I had a director, or yeah, a director who gave me some of the best advice ever, and I didn't realize it until it started happening. And it was when I was first talking about a raise at one of my old jobs, right? I said, well, how much money are you looking to make? I told him this amount, right? He goes, okay. He goes, do you understand this hunger you're going to have the entire rest of your life, right? You look at a certain amount you're going to make and you're going to be like, oh my gosh, if I'm making 75K, oh, there's so much more I can do. I'm going to save a lot more, do this. 75K comes and you go, oh my gosh, I'm in this lifestyle. Oh, but 95K now. Oh, I can do a little bit more. I just 95K comes. Oh my God, but 125K. Like it's a good. So he was telling me that the more you make, the more you spend, and you're kind of sometimes feeling at base one again, as if you're not making
mm,
enough. And for me, I think the biggest struggle I had when I jumped I mean, I just for real purposes, not this is not to toot the own horn or anything like that, but like I jumped 6 times my salary, or 6 times, sorry, 3 times my salary in my first
mhm,
year at my new job.
mhm,
3 times my salary, and it was almost overwhelming to the point where I was like, wait a minute here. Wait a minute. Like, I love the hunger is coming to peace. Obviously, I want more, but I've got to do a better job of being able to celebrate,
mm,
enjoy where I'm at in life. Because someone like that who's got the hunger that wants more, obviously, value is tied to it. We forget that sometimes.
mhm,
We really forget celebrating where we're at in life. And sometimes it takes our significant others or someone that's very close to us to be like, yo, can you chill for a second? Stop being so hard on yourself. Look what you just
mhm.
did. Look where you're at. So tying the money with a bit of sense of power and continue to want to go and not wanting to be, you want to go 100% all the time. Did you ever face that struggle just slowing down and just, okay, this is okay right now. I can chill out for a little bit and try to enjoy this a little more.
Oh, yeah. When I jumped to 125, me and my boyfriend at the time, now husband, we were in a 590 square foot apartment in downtown Denver. And we only had one bedroom. We were both working from home. I was working in the closet. I like set up a desk in the closet. And I was like, we are making too much money to do this. Like, let's go do something better. So we got the cushy corner unit.
Oh,
And
there
then
you
I
go.
was like, let's buy a house. Like it just keeps going, like you said. And now that we're in a house and we've kind of quieted down, I feel more at peace with what
Okay.
I'm making. I feel a quiet life. I feel like my family is complete. I have 3 dogs, like I had all these goals and I achieved them. And I feel like I'm at a state of peace now where I don't need more. Like the consumption is leaving my body. I
Wow.
feel at peace with what I'm making. We have, a vacation fund set up where we're putting, X amount of money away for a vacation twice a year. And that's enough for me. I don't need the fancy clothes and the fancy this. And I want to go on a nice vacation, and we have the money to do that. And, I feel comfortable where I am. Of course, I want more, but I'm at the point where I want more later. Like right now, I'm feeling very comfortable, and I'm going to ride out that comfort until I can't. And I'm going to just save all that extra money. And like I said, I want to retire as early as possible. So I know that I need to take all that money that I could be using for things and I need to put that somewhere else for now.
I love that. Good for you, dude. Beautifully said. I think I need to practice that a little more. And I obviously it's with going to sales. I think I struggle sometimes with this voice in my head where my wife is so amazing. She does a really good job of just like kind of giving me reality check me and like you
Mhm.
understand how much money you're making compared to others, right? You're in a blessed state right now. And in my head, I'm like, no, I can do more. I can go find, like sometimes I get a little antsy on that. I'm like, okay, you know what? You're right. Because look at the life we're living right now. Look what we're able
Mhm.
to do. And so I love hearing that because when I hear more of that, it does help me understand, you know what? Look at someone like Hannah, who's very goal oriented and money motivated, and she's able to find a good piece right now.
And
If
and that's not to say I don't have nice things or that I don't like to
no,
spend
no, of
money.
course, yeah,
Like I have some things that people would say frivolous. I get my coffee sent to me from my favorite coffee shop in Denver every 3 weeks. Like I have things like that that I love, but everything else, can fall away.
sure. Sure. Well, and there's obviously you're making a certain amount of money, be proud of that and get what you want that's valuable to you, right?
Mhm.
For Kelly and I, it's a lot of, we take a lot of mini trips or
Yep.
rent out some cabins just to kind of be out there for a little bit of time, right? That's what's important to us. We'll spend our money on that.
Yep.
We've done a lot better now, for sure. It's more on my side to kind of get away from things that we don't really need at this point. You know what I mean? Like, listen, I became a bit of a sneakerhead. I'm like, what am I doing? I started
Oh
ordering a bunch of
God.
J's and I'm like, I loved them. I shout out to my buddy Johnny who got me into it. Um, I love you and I kind of hate you for that because for a while I was like on the Nike apps or just being like, okay, when is this going to drop? Okay, get into the drop. Hopefully I make the queue. I got in that a little bit, right? So it's things like that. Like, did I hold value at that point? Sure, but I don't really need that. So like, I put more of my money now concentrated on trips and things I can do with Kelly, right?
Yep.
So I get a bit of his that piece of that. It's just now quieting the voice a little bit on just like we need to find a little peace way. Yeah,
Yep.
like sure, maybe later on in life you do some of these things, but right now and really enjoy what's going on.
Are you living in like a city?
I am. So I mean I'm living outside of Phoenix and Scottsdale. I'm more of kind of an outside area. So for me when I go to work, it's about a 40-minute to 45-minute drive. So I'm still close by. And I'm curious to what you're gonna ask me after this or what you're gonna say because I think I may have the same thought already. But why would you ask that?
The only reason I ask is when I lived in Denver, I was very into the optics of everything. I
Yes.
lived right downtown. I bought a Louis Vuitton purse when I got my raise, and I wore that everywhere and thought, this is status. This is what makes me look good. And then we moved, like you said, I'm like a half hour south of Seattle now. We live on a lake. It is quiet. Everyone in my neighborhood is retired. They probably don't know what a Louis Vuitton bag looks like. It's like I've really slowed down the environment I'm in, and that has really helped me drop the idea of consumption.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of truth to that statement right there. A lot of truth to what you did. I've always said when I go visit a place like Flagstaff in Arizona, which is surrounded by trees and in the mountains, or when Kelly and I go to our favorite place in Pine Top, which is just surrounded by trees, life slows down.
Yep.
Life slows down for me to a point where when we stay almost at a week at a time, if not more, I do feel a sense of calm. Even when
Hmm.
I'm like working from home, it's a more sense of calm. And I'm like, maybe it's a simple lifestyle for me. And it's weird because I do have this like simple lifestyle, cup of coffee in the morning, go out to the porch. Beautiful. It's quiet. The sounds of nature is amazing. And I just have this whole kind of different aspect of life. It happens every time. But then I come back to the valley
Hmm.
and I go to the office and I'm surrounded, which there's good and bad to it, right? Obviously bad because like life moves fast and it's like grind, 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 and that's what get it going, right? You see a nice car, you see a Maserati, a Lambo coming through, you go towards Scottsdale, especially when I lived back in Scottsdale, I was like, oh my God, money is out there. I got to make this money. So I guarantee it is the factors of living around the city that also doesn't help the fact that I'm like super just like I can do this more and whatnot. Because when I am up in Pine Top and Flagstaff, I'm like, this is great. Can I just get a cabin up here? Can I just stay up? Life moves a lot slower. So I'm happy you said that because it does affirm more like my feelings on that and how true that holds when you're in a different place, different environment.
And there's like a duality of it, right? Like I just went to Denver for work last week and it was go, go, go. I brought my nice purse. I felt in the mix. I was, going out to dinner and going out to drinks and happy hour and this, and I was in the mix and it was so much fun. And then I came home and I went to Olympic National Park for 4 days and it like brings me back.
It
So
resets
it's like,
everything.
it resets everything. There's like a duality. Like if I look outside, there's 100 big trees outside. Like I can go sit on my porch, like you said, and have a cup of coffee, and it like keeps me centered and lets me just like get back into my family, which is what I really care about. And yeah, but I think there's a balance somewhere. I just haven't found it.
Well, I think you're getting nearer than I am for sure, which I love for you, my friend. Um, as we're kind of getting close towards the end of the show here, something I always ask people, and I think you've already painted again another picture of it, but let's hop into it anyways. Hannah, where do you see yourself 10 years from now? I know you mentioned retirement,
Ooh.
but if you could just really picture what you've been envisioning, what you've been working towards, where's Hannah Lawrence? Lawrence, not Bucky. Where's Hannah Lawrence 10 years from now?
Um, I think she's happy, you know? I don't really care about anything else, especially getting into my 30s and then in 10 years getting into my 40s. Like, I just want to be happy. I just want to be enjoying my life. I want a million dogs. I have three. I could go for 10.
Okay.
I want more land, more peace, maybe closer to family, maybe closer to my husband's family, probably moving again. I love to move. I don't know. I think I've hit a lot of my career goals. Like, I'm in the director seat. You don't get to the VP seat really quickly. You don't get that next level. I'm going to be a director for probably many years. So I feel comfortable and I just want to be happy and fulfilled and excited.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I can't imagine anyone not being happy with what you just described, especially the 10 dogs part. I'm pretty sure if I had a couple acres of land, shoot, even 1 acre of land, my wife would be totally on board bringing on more dogs. We have three right
Oh
now
yeah.
too. So,
Three feels great.
oh
I
yeah.
could go for five.
Okay, so yeah, you guys are really more on the same wavelength than I am sometimes. I think it's more the puppy. We have three, and one of them's a puppy right now, and she's just a menace. I love her, but she's an absolute menace.
Puppies are tough. We just adopted last year, a 1-year-old, and she's fabulous. And
Yeah,
so I think I've moved on from the puppy stage
good for you.
and just want to adopt, the 1 to 3-year-old dog.
Yeah, I I think that's gonna be the route for us if we get any more. If we get any more, I'm not doing another puppy. I've done my time with that. I'm good. Well, I love that beautiful outlook for you. Another question for you, and I very curious to hear your answer on this. What does it mean for you? Obviously, we know director level is beautiful there. It's great, good money, another step in your career to even maybe go VP one day, which would be amazing. And I'm sure that'll happen sooner than you think. Really, what does it mean for you to be at such a level at a company as a woman?
Mm, it's an honor. And it feels like my company is primarily women. My boss
Okay.
is a woman, her boss is a woman, her boss is a woman. Like we being surrounded by powerful women is so exciting and it really drives me. And I've been many places where there's a man ahead of me and there's that glass ceiling and people talk a lot about a glass ceiling. And it's really tough and it really exists and you just have to find your way to put a crack in it. You don't need to break it in one day. You just need to start putting cracks. And I think that I laid the foundation to put cracks in my glass ceiling really young, and it just full on shattered for me. And I feel, really confident in the direction I'm going. I feel confident, you know, trying my best and putting my best foot forward in a way that I've never felt before. And I feel, yeah, just really honored to be in a position like this as a young woman.
Yeah, I love that. Well, you definitely are breaking barriers, shattering ceilings. I've really loved hearing more about what you've been up to, what's been going on, and I'm always following up too with where you're at, whether it's LinkedIn or Instagram. You're doing amazing things, dude. I'm super happy for you. Any last things to shout out? Obviously, we'll talk about how to connect with you, but maybe for someone who is interested hearing this and saying, I want that life. She's killing it. How do I, like, how can I go about it? Male or female, regardless. But what do you tell them in terms of
Mm.
starting this grind here, going into the marketing world?
I think you just don't say no. I said yes to a lot of projects that I probably shouldn't have. I made a lot of mistakes. I did a lot of things off off the books, like I probably shouldn't have quit my job 3 months in and started freelancing. My mom thought I was actually insane, and I wasn't making a lot of money, and I was living, without a bed, and my mom's like, "What the hell are you doing?" Like, I think there's there's joy in trying something new and just going for it. And like and the path isn't linear, like I took many steps back. I think if you're trying to get into this world, just get your foot in the door anywhere. Assistant, a talent manager, a talent coordinator, like anywhere that you can get into influencer, if that's what you're interested in, just get there and then make the moves from there.
I love that. Well said. Pay attention, people. That's a path of success that Hannah's got. Very, very much able to do it yourself. So, Hannah, I appreciate you a ton. For anyone that wants to connect with you, how can they get a hold of you?
They can find me on Instagram. My name is Han Sandwich.
Hand sandwich, amazing. Love it. What a tag, what a handle. People can't forget that. I'm gonna put that handle here at the end of the episode descriptions. Thank you guys for another amazing week here at Let's Talk About This Way, the first virtual call. Hannah, so honored to have you as the first virtual call. Appreciate you a ton. It's been amazing catching up with you, my friend. So very happy we got to do this. As the outro music's going out, guys, remember that is the band Hannah, not Hannah Lawrence, but the band Hannah from Simi Valley, California. Shout out to those guys doing amazing things. Check them out. Spotify, YouTube, Apple Music, Bandcamp, SoundCloud. Oh, I remember the SoundCloud one. They've got so many of these platforms nowadays. I can't remember off the top of my head. But I'll have that in the episode description, also at the end of the episode. I always like to have a page dedicated to them and the music that we use here. So give them a listen. Otherwise, the great other episodes to listen to as well on the Let's Talk About This Way podcast. You can find more info there on the Instagram, Spotify, YouTube, and Apple Podcasts. Make sure to follow, comment. Let me know what you guys think about this so far. But thank you guys so much for another week here. And that's it. We'll catch y'all later. Have a wonderful weekend, guys.